All right, folks, welcome back to yet another episode of Fresh Juice, an indie game podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Tommy Fresh, and joined as always, it is
Matty. Juice. What's going on, everybody? How are you? Welcome to episode 91.
What?
Oh my God. It's a good episode this week, Tommy, isn't it?
It
Unlike
sure
the last
is.
week and all the other episodes. This is probably the best one.
Listen, we keep getting better every episode. It's a fact. You can check it in the Discord, which we do have. You can. It's in the show notes below. But hey, we got a great show for you again this week. A better show than the last week, of course. And then next week will actually be better than today. But you're stuck with us in the present now. Although this will be coming out into the future as to when we're recording it. Anyway, listen. It's all going to be good. But we got a fun one. A nice cozy game that we'll be reviewing. Cast and Chill a little bit later in the episode by Wombat Brawler. Be talking about that game. But first, get into maybe some news. I don't know if there was much news, but what's going on? We just kind of spent the weekend with each other. We went away. How was it?
It was good. It was good. Yeah, we went to our buddy Bags, shout out Bags, bachelor party, which was awesome in Portland, Maine. We had a lot of good food, a lot of good beer, a lot of good times. It was a great time. You know, always love going up there, Portland or Maine and Vermont kind of area. Weather was great, you know, which was awesome. Especially playing some golf, a little windy, but it was still good. And yeah, I just had a good time, man. Had some dogs, you know. Went to the baseball game, saw like this curling champion throw out the first pitch. It was like amazing.
It was something.
But yeah, I had it was a great time. And honestly, I like on the ride home, I was just like, it's over already, you know, like I could have spent like another week there,
Mm-hmm.
you know, no problem. So yeah, but how about you? How was your weekend?
It was pretty much the same, but no, it was good. We go up there. We had our buddy throw out the first pitch at a minor league baseball game. That was fun. Surprised him. I think he liked it. Comment below if you liked it, Bags. Was that? Is he? You know.
Yep. He just commented.
Just commented. Sounds like he did. But you know, we did a bunch of cool stuff. A lot of breweries, but like some really good food joints. This really cool place. I had never been. I'd passed it a million times, but the Thirsty Pig was like a hot dog bar. Obviously, those are three of my favorite words together, strung together. A bar with hot dogs, amazing. And golf was cool. Went to Allagash. Allagash is one of the best breweries in the country. I see you're wearing a shirt from there. Did you buy it this weekend?
I did, yeah.
I think I bought that same one with the can on the back.
Yeah, the can. Yeah. I like that one. Yeah, they had a long sleeve, and I was like, I don't really wear a lot of long sleeves, and then I stumbled on the short sleeve. So
yeah, how about that? But yeah, it was a good weekend though, man. It was fun. It was a myriad of a diverse group of people in terms of like walks of life, and I mean obviously all friends, but like in terms of what they're into, and we kind of made it work. I felt like in terms of like one solid great weekend, which was fun.
Yeah, for sure. It's gotta get back up there at some point and just go again, you know. Like see more stuff. We went to a cool barcade too, which was we had never been to. It had a lot of space in there. I know some of the guys were like, there's too many pinball machines, and I was like, there's not enough pinball machines.
Yeah, I love pinball.
Right? Yeah. But no, it was cool, and everything was like a quarter too, or 50 cents. So they didn't do like a token system, anything like that. So that was nice. It was I had a great time, you know. Stopped at a few dispensaries kind of up there, you know, and I can't believe it's over already, you know, but we're back here.
We're back.
And, you know, what a great way to start out the week and end the trip with a Fresh Juice podcast.
That's what I'm talking about. Funny thing about that barcade, though, I was a little bit a lot of bit inebriated, I would say, actually. But when I get inebriated, I like to have I like to call them like mini podcasts with people, like strangers. Some people just say it's talking,
Yeah,
but I was
conversation.
having I was interviewing people. I'm like, what's your favorite video game of all time? And I got to give it to the staff at this barcade. Either they're trained this way. I don't think they are, because like, who would be like, you will get people coming in and having mini podcasts with you. They don't probably know that, but they were like, oh, my favorite game is Galaga. My favorite game is Miss Pac-Man. I'm like, okay, you guys are committed, at least committed to the bit.
Yeah.
But like, it's a lot of unks, like old heads, which I appreciated. I thought it was kind of cool. A little hipstery. It made sense for the town. It was neat.
Yeah. Plus they had Gauntlet Legends there, which is pretty cool. I don't know if I've ever played the arcade Gauntlet before. I've seen them, but I think the last time I saw one, it wasn't working. Yeah, so it was cool to play it. It was cool. Yeah.
I
Good
think
stuff.
they made a cabinet for both Legends and Dark Legacy. And then like probably all the gauntlets prior to that, but yeah, it was pretty sick. So hey, good times. Anybody who's never been up that way, if you can make it up to Maine, it's a beautiful state. A lot of great people, a lot of great things going on. So check that out. But hey, we got to talk about indie games first. Some news. I mentioned at the top, we have a Discord. You can join it. Talk to us. We have a notification system for games that go on sale for free. So you can get the know and why. And I guess it doesn't tell you why they're free. But you get to know they are, which is cool. But yeah. But there's no real news. It was a pretty slow week for indie game news.
Yeah, I didn't see too much pop up. I guess, sort of related to indie games, the Nintendo Switch 2 numbers came out. I don't have the article up in front of me, but I know that it was the fastest selling video game console of all time, I believe is what it said. So, really great potentially for indie games, but I did also see that there's not a lot of new indies yet for the Switch 2. Obviously, it just came out. So hopefully, there's a rollout of those as the year continues and we start to see even more success. But that was probably, I didn't really see any other major indie game news. We were also away for a bit, so I wasn't really checking social media too much. But yeah, if anyone has any other news that we missed, throw it in the Discord and we'll address it there in the next episode. I don't know, Dragon Balls of Dragon Ball Z. Yeah, so that was the only thing I kind of saw, over the last few days.
I did see, and I'll bring this up just because there's nothing like confirmed, but it does have to do with the Switch 2 and indie games, but it is that Hollow Knight Silk Song is starting to ramp up their marketing and including it like Switch 2 kind of, marketing with that, which is kind of neat. Now, there's also a rumor that I just heard, and this is not news. This is all hearsay and it's not necessarily indie game related, but it is video game related, that we are going to get a big Nintendo Direct soon that's going to focus on Metroid Prime 4.
Oh.
But apparently the rumor is it'll be Metroid Prime 4 mostly focused, and then at the end, one more thing, boom, Isabelle shows up. Animal Crossing on Switch 2 2026. These are the rumors.
Way.
But now's the time to put the pedal to the metal if I were Nintendo. You had a pretty successful launch. Your first party games are what people come to your consoles for. The DK Bonanza Direct was a smash hit. That game looks insane.
Yep.
We're getting a Splatoon spinoff. Keep them coming. Hit after hit. Now's the time to just be like, this is Nintendo. Whether you like them or not, they're gonna put out some stuff, and if they can do it in pretty quick succession, people are gonna be pretty happy.
Yeah,
so we'll see.
Yeah. That would be amazing. Another Animal Crossing, and I'd be very curious to see kind of obviously with the Switch 2, they're trying to do more of like the social kind of gaming stuff, with the game chat kind of abilities and like obviously the way they integrated in Mario Kart. So I'd be really curious to see what they try to do with Animal Crossing because I think there's a lot you can do with a game like Animal Crossing. And I'm hoping this isn't an episode about a wish list for Animal Crossing, but one thing I would love is like true co-op in Animal Crossing.
Mm,
I'd love to just play with like either online or in person and just explore an island or whatever it is, town with somebody else. I think that could be a lot of fun. So yeah, we'll see if they do that.
we will. We will. At the game chat,
Yeah.
I mean, it is what it is, but it worked pretty
Yeah.
well when we did it not too long ago. So,
Yeah, and I've seen some funny videos of like people with the cameras on Mario Kart and like they're making funny faces as they pass people and stuff like that. So it's definitely got the Nintendo flavor to it, I think,
mhm,
where, at first people are like, all right, this is like it's not going to be used that much, but when people use it, it's like funny the
mhm.
way they use it. It's like a picto chat kind of thing, I
Yeah,
feel like. But a lot more people use picto chat, but yeah, so we'll see what happens.
we will.
Yep.
But back to indie games, though, we are going to review a game called Cast and Chill. We did get the keys from the dev for this game, but it's developed and published by Wombat Brawler on Steam. $14.99, 20% off until June 30th, which by the time this comes out, you'll have a couple days actually to take a look. So, what Cast and Chill is a cozy, idle, and active fishing game where you explore serene lakes, rivers, and oceans, catch rare fish, upgrade your gear, and reel in legendary catches, all with your loyal dog companion by your side. Let's get into it. This is a game, I'm a big fan of when games explain what they are in the title. And this is exactly that. This is a very chill, slow-paced game, and it's very reminiscent of real fishing. If anybody does that, this is exactly what it's telling you it is. And gameplay is pretty simple. You hop in your boat, you drive out, or not drive, you boat out, swim,
Paddle?
paddle. Well, I guess
Yeah.
like motor out there, I guess a little bit, but
Yeah.
it's you go out. It's not that big of an area, but we'll get to the art. We'll skip that. That's going to be a big piece of this. But you get out there, you stop, you cast your line, and then it goes under the water, and you start to see the fish floating around. And as you see them, your like journal will say, "How new species discovered" or whatever, and then you can kind of go into your journal and see what kind of bait works, how big they come, whether it's like they're typically on the smaller side, what kind of like strength line you're going to need on your fishing rod, which is all going to come from the base area after you go out and catch X amount of fish. I think you could start by catching 4 fish, and then you have to bring them back.
Three.
Or is it 3? You catch
Yep.
3 fish, you bring them back, you get back to the base area, you sell them automatically, and then you go into the shop and you can just upgrade stuff, right? You can get new lures, you can get new boats, you can get new rods or you can just upgrade the line on the rods that you already have, and then you can also buy fishing licenses for new areas. So that's just the total concept of the game, is going out, catching fish, and selling them and upgrading and just petting your dog and having a good time. I mean, this is initially, I would say, was a slower paced game than I expected, right?
Mhm.
But as I played, I didn't mind it, to be honest. I was like, oh, I am just chilling. This is what this game is. Clearly, that's what they wanted. And I had fun with it. It's not the most exhilarating gameplay, but it was kind of cool to go out, just catch fish. Don't feel like I have to give it a lot of time. They can just pick it up, play for a bit, catch some fish, maybe upgrade something, and be like, oh, maybe tomorrow I'll play some more. And kind of explore more. There's a lot here to explore, which is really cool. It's just going to take some time, and I think that's okay. And you have some other cool stuff you can do where, let's say, there's some fish that only show up at night. You can like kind of time travel and just sleep until you just like nap in your boat and it turns night. You go back, continue to upgrade stuff, go to new areas, check out what you can fish there. You start off in this first area where, there's only like 6 or so kind of fish you can catch. You can't catch all of them off the bat with the rod that you start with. So you kind of have to start catching the ones that you can just to get more, upgrades. And yeah, it's very much an idle game, but you do have to cast the reel and stuff like that. You can control how you reel it in and also give the line some slack. And when you're reeling in the fish, it is like a dynamic challenge to get the fish in, because if they start pulling really hard, you got to let go a little bit because it will break the line. So you have to kind of tire out the fish like you would in real fishing. So I think for the gameplay, it kind of nailed what it was supposed to be, and I liked it. It's very relaxing, and it's easier to catch fish than in real life, which is cool. So
Yeah.
that's my take on the gameplay. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think this is a game where it's it knows exactly what it is and what it's trying to do, because as someone that like I love when other games I play add fishing or have a fishing mechanic, like everything from like Animal Crossing to like New World and Once Human and any really, I mean, obviously like Ocarina of Time, anything that has fishing in it. I always love those fishing mini games. I love to see the different sort of mechanics that the game has. How hard is it to actually catch fish? How much variety there is in like how you can catch fish, so like in this game, like you mentioned, you get the different rods, the different baits, different boats, different areas you can go to, different times a day. It reminds me like Sea of Thieves, like has, based on where you are on the map or like time of day, like the bait you're using, like you get different fish. Like I like, obviously a game like this, I'd expect those sort of things. Uh, but I always like when other games kind of incorporate that. So that's what this kind of feels like. It almost feels like a mini game of a larger game in a way. And you're just chilling. So I have to kind of like look at this game as like there are certain things where I'm like, okay, when the fish is grabbing on to the line and it's starting to pull and you have to let go of the line. Sometimes in like other games, it's like, okay, whatever direction the fish is pulling, you need to pull in the opposite direction, or or otherwise it'll snap the line, like things like that. This game doesn't have like a little mechanic like that, and I don't know if it needs it. I don't think it does. That's why I think this is like an interesting game, because I feel like adding too many of those mechanics like gets rid of the chill part, right? So it's like if you lose a fish, you lose a fish. Like it's totally fine. But in a lot of these other games where they have the fishing mini games, I do feel like there are these other little mechanics that make it more of like a game. This is more of like I mean, it's still a game, obviously, but it's just like a chill experience, even to the point where I noticed this earlier when I was playing. If you hang out at the dock for too long and you're not talking to the shopkeeper, you'll just start sailing out like on your own.
Hmm.
It'll just start moving out. And then if you're out in the water and you're not doing anything for too long, like I stepped away to like use the bathroom, I came back and my guy's sailing back to the dock, So like, it's just, it almost like a lot of this game like sort of guides you, and like, yeah, there is kind of like catching fish is like part of the mini game, or the core mechanic of the game, but it's not like super involved, because they want you to just kind of go back, sell what you got, get new things, unlock new things, find new areas. And I think I agree. I think it does exactly what it's trying to set out to do. I had a good time playing it, but I will say that there are times when like you're fishing and like things are biting on the line maybe, but I would be sitting there for like a little bit and things were definitely biting on the line, so it wasn't like I was using the wrong type of bait, but there were some times where I was like, all right, I was like browsing Twitter while I was waiting for a bite, something like that, and then when I found it, like it doesn't take a lot to like kind of reel it in. So it's a very simple game, is kind of what I'm saying. And it reminds me of, obviously the mini games and the other games, but like I've seen games before that like they're attached to your desktop, right? And like you can like do other things on your computer while you're also playing this mini game that's like attached to your taskbar on your Windows desktop. This reminds me of a game that's like that, even though it's not that. I could easily have this in like windowed mode or something on like another screen and just kind of play it in between things. It's one of those games, and I think there's enough mechanics here to like get someone, because as a player you want to be excited about the next upgrade, the next thing, the next area. I think there's enough in this game to like have me keep coming back to see what's in the new area. Like I just unlocked another area and I'm like, oh, what kind of fish are over here? Like this is kind of interesting. Um, but I will say with the new areas that you unlock, I'm not too crazy about how it introduces you to like new species. Like as soon as you cast your line in the water, it like highlights in like a little square all the new fish that are in that area, and it's like, oh, new like X number of new species discovered or something like that. And then when you actually catch it, you see what it is. I don't know. A little part of me is like, don't tell me what the new species. I want to like catch it and be like, oh, there's a new species. Um, little stuff like that. So I think there are some tweaks that they could make here, but it's like a very delicate game where like I don't want to add new mechanics because I feel like it gets rid of that chill part of the game. Um, so yeah, they kind of have to find this balance of like what is enough to like keep me coming back, which I think they do a decent job of that. And then what is like too much where it just doesn't become a chill game anymore. So that's kind of where I am with the gameplay. I don't know, is like at first I was like, I'm locked in. Like I'm definitely, excited about catching more and more fish. And then like you realize like that chill part of the game. And I'm like, all right, like I don't need to be so attentive to this as I am with maybe other fishing games. Because if I lose a fish, there's a bunch of other ones that are just swimming around right here. I don't need to sail to a new area to then try to catch that fish again. So yeah, that's kind of just where I landed with it. I like all the upgrades. We're looking at some of that right now. I think that there's enough here to upgrade. It's just um, the fishing process is like chiller than I was anticipating, I
Yeah.
guess you could say, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there's certainly like some challenge to like catching some of the bigger fish and the more rare fish I found, which I didn't mind at all. And, just kind of like getting the goal, like, they kind of make a goalpost for you. Like, there's like in the first area, for example, because this doesn't spoil too much, but like first area, I think the biggest fish you can catch is a walleye, and it is the one fish in that area that needs like like
Hmm.
a lure that is like totally different than all the other ones and a stronger line. So you're like, okay, if I'm going to do this, I need to do X, Y, and Z. And also, when you try to catch it, like they will fight really hard, and you gotta like figure out how to reel it in. But it is, kind of an achievable challenge, I would say, which is nice. And they also have passive mode. I don't know if you tried it out, but that allows you to just kind of move it off to the second monitor and let it just cook. Um,
Oh, so I turned on like that idle or passive mode, and I wasn't really sure what it was doing. Does it automatically fish for you and wherever you're sitting,
yeah,
or
I believe so. Yeah,
okay?
you can just pop back in and see what what you fished and stuff like that.
Oh,
So
okay, that's
yeah,
cool.
which is pretty neat. It knows what it's doing here, but let's get into the story. I would say there isn't much, but there is a little weird little story elements they'll throw at you. There is a point in the beginning of the game where there is like a competition for a like whoever can catch the biggest whatever this is, and they kind of like say so and so caught the record holding fish last year, but it wasn't that big, and we think there's something bigger out there. So it gives you like a little bit of lore and world building, not a ton, but just enough to say like, hey, we built this world, we might as well throw some substance in it. It's not a really in-depth story or anything like that. You do interact a decent amount with the shopkeeper. He's a big part of the game. And then, they built out a decent sized map with all these different, spaces you can go to with these fishing licenses. So not a whole lot, but I wasn't expecting anything. I thought I would just be going out and back. And then I'd be like, oh, there's actually some dialogue here with this shopkeeper kind of telling me about some stuff about this weird fishing game. So I liked it. I mean, it was like a nice, pleasant surprise. And yeah, I don't know. I was kind of surprised because in the beginning you don't really get a lot of that, but then as you kind of progress more, shopkeepers like kind of getting more engaged with you, which is kind of neat too, because it's like, oh, this guy's actually out there catching fish. I want to talk to this guy. So, did you experience that?
Yeah, no, I definitely did, and like that's like kind of what you expect, right, from like a guy that's working at like a fish, like a bait shop, on the dock. Is like you want to kind of hear a little bit of some stories and things like that. So yeah, no, I mean, there's not a lot of story elements here. I do like you have a dog on your boat with you, which like I guess I just didn't realize in the trailer. So there's like a little bit of like that like companionship, like inherited sort of story. I don't really know if anything happens with the dog, like if you feed him or anything like that. I haven't figured that out yet, but um yeah, as far as an actual story in the game, yeah, there's not really one, but yeah, there's like that kind of inherited story and some dialogue from the fisherman at the bait shop, the salesman, and yeah, it's also I feel like it nails the kind of stillness of
Mm-hmm.
fishing, right? So there's not going to be a lot of exciting moments, I'd say, even when you catch like an amazing fish, or like a new record, something like that. It's not really like tying into I feel like the story. I mean, maybe at some point you catch some amazing fish and the bait shop guy, he um yeah, I don't know. He says something else that's like really interesting. I haven't had that happen. But maybe as you like progress like later in the game. Um, but yeah, I there's not really a story here. From my side of view. So yeah.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that yeah, I think that yeah. Well, probably I think as the game progresses, I think you get a little bit more. He definitely like is keyed into what you're catching,
Yeah.
based on the dialogue that I've seen, which is interesting, right? Like it makes sense. Like oh, like I think when you get to a point where you can progress off the first area, definitely is like oh wow, you're really out there, huh? You're getting some bigger stuff. Oh, maybe you want to buy this, or maybe you want to go here with the fishing license, or kind of giving you like that wink, wink, nudge, nudge. But yeah, for sure. Now, visuals. Gotta talk about how this game
Hmm.
looks. It's because to me, this is the kind of the meat and potatoes of this game because I think it's beautiful. This is a pixel art, but it feels like these landscapes, they're just background. That's all they are of like these places that you're fishing in are so beautiful. It feels like a Van Gogh painting almost, and just has so much depth. And it goes back, and you're just like, oh my god. And then you get to points like where other animals are kind of messing around, just like slowly in the background, like you would see in the woods anyway. Like a deer will pop up, or you see a duck trying to like dive into the water, and then you have this kind of like crystal glass water that looks so cool. And then when you cast out, you kind of get the opposite end of that kind of glass mirror where you kind of see all these fish, and it's definitely cooler and more, deep feeling than everything else. But the fact that you can kind of still look out and see the landscapes behind it just looks really good. And simple kind of character design here too. Kind of reminds me a little bit of Dredge. And I mean, from when you're talking to the shopkeeper, but outside of that, this is just a very basic fisherman and the dog and these boats, but everything else is just so beautiful. I could just look at this game. That's how good this game looks.
Yeah, honestly, when I first, because I only tested out the idle mode for like a few minutes, I think, I was like, oh, this makes it like a background. Like I could have just had put this up somewhere and just like, you know, they'll sail around, I guess, a little bit. Um, but yeah, I think like the art in this game is just it's so compelling. It's like part of the reason I like, I think someone in our Discord actually shared this game a while ago. And the reason was it Turtle,
Yeah,
I
turn on the
think?
turn.
Yeah. So that was part of the reason I like kind of wanted to watch it, because just looking at the thumbnail, I'm like, oh, this looks interesting. And yeah, I love, like, they could have easily, when you cast your line, just kind of had like a line in the middle of the screen, and like bottom would be fish and the top would be you. But instead, they just kind of go underneath the boat almost. So you're kind of looking up through the water from the bottom. And that just, I feel like that just makes such a cool experience, because you feel like you're down there with the fish, like you're with the lore that you've sent down there. So I think that's really well done. A nice detail for sure. The UI, everything is like really easy to understand, because it all disappears and it just kind of lets you be there fishing. But then when you need like a menu to pop up to change your bait or your rod or the boat, um, it'll just kind of pop up in a little window above your boat, above your character, and you can just switch it and then it disappears. So I think that was really well done, versus like having a UI always on the screen. I feel like would have sort of like tainted the experience a little bit, of just kind of what this is trying to be. And I also think that uh the fish designs are good. Like it's kind of easy to understand, the different species of fish, not just by how they look, but also like their shapes as well. So they did a good job with that, especially some of the smaller fish. You could easily kind of see them blending in, if this wasn't well done, but it was. So I had no issues with that. Yeah, I think the art is like such a winner in this game. It's really just like a point I think that will lure people in, and and hopefully keep them playing as well, because I got to like another area and I was like, wow, this looks different. Like I just they did a great job, from the art side of things. And even the shopkeeper, like that whole experience is interesting. Like the way it looks, easy to navigate through. They also do a great job with like the foreground and the background stuff. There's times where you cast your line behind something that's in the foreground and you're like, well, how am I going to be able to see this? And then it just kind of fades away as like you sink into the water. So they did a good job with, they didn't need to have things in the foreground technically, but they did to make it like a better overall kind of feeling experience. So yeah, little details here and there, right? That really make a difference in this game from the art standpoint. So they blew it out of the water with the art. They did. There's some, I'm saying I don't even realize until I'm saying it that I'm like, oh, this is related to the game. So there's a lot of love that went into the art for
Hmm.
this game for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. It's just a work of art, to be honest. And when you get to the sound and the music too, it really nails the chill vibe. If you want to look at the sound effects, right? I love even the simple plop of the water when you throw the lure, and then
Hmm.
also you're reeling it in, just like classic. But occasionally you'll just hear some of the animals that are from this landscape, kind of chirp up or make a noise. like a loon in the background. It's just really nice. And then this really subtle banjo ambient music that is just so relaxing. It's giving the exact chill vibe that you want. It's really nice. It makes you want to put it in idle mode and whatever and throw it on a different screen while you're doing some other stuff. It's just a really pleasant experience, I think, with this music, because I love anything with a banjo anyway, and this just kind of having this world where you feel like you're out on the water at like 5 a.m., right? You got up really early to go fishing. The world hasn't woken up yet, and it's just kind of how that moment feels, if anybody ever gets up that early. But sometimes I have, and it just, I don't like getting up early, but when you get out there and you start experiencing it, you're like, oh, this is worth it. And this is what that game with that music kind of gives me, which I really appreciated.
Definitely. I'm right there with you. It really it's like nature forward, like the soundtrack, right? Like everything from like an instrument perspective is like secondary to like what you're experiencing while you're out there. I agree. Like I had the same kind of thought of like this is what it's like when you're out there super early fishing or just out anywhere in nature. And it just there's that silence, and it's just like, you know, um like wind noises and creatures, things like that. I'm gonna just play a little bit of it while this video is fishing right now. They're actually underwater right here, so there is a little bit of an underwater kind of tone.
Nice. Very nice.
You can hear some frogs in the background. Yeah, reeling it in. Yeah, there we go. That's nice. That's good stuff right there. And then we're above the water here, driving the boat.
This is an upgraded boat from the beginning too.
Yes, yeah, the motor. I just got this boat actually, and it's nice. It's faster. But yeah, just a great job with the sound as well. Pairs so well with the art. I feel like those two things in this game they just like nailed. So yeah, well, I love everything about the sound in the game. It's exact like cast and chill. Like it just fits perfectly into what the game's trying to be.
Yeah, amen. And performance-wise, I played on both desktop and Steam Deck, and they worked perfectly fine on either end. I don't know if you ran into any issues.
No, yeah, I played on both of those as well. No issues whatsoever. Would love to see the game on mobile at some point. They could work pretty well on mobile.
I think so too.
But yeah, no issues at all.
Awesome. Well, that's going to bring us to our final rating. Sorry, I just had to cast and chill that one a little bit. Our final ratings are as follows. We have a rating system where the top games are certified fresh juice. These are games like we thought Nine Kings were, Sworn, Balatro, Norb Apolog, and then you have a Steel. We think these are good games, but not quite great, but good, and a great value for whatever you're going to pay for it. These are games like Ballionaire, Crypt Custodian, The Cub. And then after that, we have On Sale. These are games that perhaps, aren't perfect, but they have some good qualities that hopefully when it's on sale, it'll be kind of worth it, or maybe they can be improved upon in the future to make it a good game. And these are games like Wizard with a Gun, Hellskate, in our opinion. And then after that, we have things like Manager's Special, which is a game that maybe if it's free to play or it's on deep discount, but we didn't particularly enjoy it, but we see some world where somebody might. And then finally, we have Spoiled Milk, which we wouldn't recommend anybody drink. So,
yeah, you go first, Tommy, with this one.
Okay, this is a hard one to rate, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think I have to like kind of stick with my guns here and kind of how I view video games in general. And this game is the perfect example of executing what they want to do perfectly, right? This is a game that clearly really is art and music forward, but also giving an experience that is cozy, that is chill, and shows honestly, like, we didn't really get into it, but a deep knowledge of fishing, right? There is a lot of information here about fish and lures and different kind of boats. What kind of things you would need to kind of become this fisherman who kind of goes out there and wants to catch all these kinds of fish. Mm-hmm. So I think with that and the amount of time you can really put into this game, as well as the kind of flexibility of playing it like actively or passively, I think this is, in my mind, a true certified fresh juice because of those things. And to be honest, it made me want to go fishing in real life too. Yeah. I think that it just really nails everything it's setting out to do perfectly. Now, this will never be a game of the year or anything like that. These kind of games never get that. But, if you're looking for a perfectly executed idle / cozy / like sim game, this is it. And if you just really love pixel art, like, this is some of the best I've seen, right? From just a pure beauty standpoint. So certified fresh juice for Cast and Chill from ye old Tommy Fresh.
There you go, folks. So I'm in like a similar mindset. So it's hard for me, like when I was playing this game, I'm like trying to compare it to like some other things, right? I talked about the other fishing mini games, but I was even thinking of like incremental games that we played, um, like Norp Apolog, and I'm just like, oh, I can't really compare it to those because this is meant to be a cozy game, right? It's not meant to have too much in it. Just meant to chill, cast and chill. And it's hard for me not to give this a certified fresh juice because it's exactly what they're trying to do, and they executed on like every front, I think, pretty perfectly. Um, and it's also a game that's built for more content as well. It's easy to see how they could add, obviously more fish, more regions, more rods, boats, all that sort of stuff. Um, so I also just have to give this a certified fresh juice. That's not a typical game I would play because I feel like I don't play a lot of cozy games unless Animal Crossing is considered that. Obviously, played a decent amount of that, but I there's nothing I can pinpoint with the game where I'm like, this isn't working well, and I gotta knock it down to a steal. I know I mentioned the other things about like the different mechanics and things like that, like from other fishing mini games. But I really think if you add that to this game, it doesn't become cozy anymore. It becomes a fishing game. So they're not trying to be, compete with like all like the professional, whatever, the hunter. I don't know if hunter games have fishing in them. I know they hunt, but so I just got to give it a certified fresh juice as well. I think they just executed perfectly on everything, and it's definitely a game like I would recommend to cozy game players out there. Cast and Chill is, I feel like, now in that category of like top cozy games. I know a lot of people play Palia as well. It's like a one I keep seeing that pops up as a top cozy game. So if you're into that sort of stuff, I definitely recommend Cast and Chill. And great price point as well. Could have been more expensive. Could have been less expensive as well, but I feel like $15 and it's on sale right now. It's worth picking up if you're into cozy games and you want to kill some time. So I'm giving it a certified fresh juice as well.
Awesome. And look, I just was doing some research on Wombat Brawler. The team that made it this is their first game together. It's two people, Brendan Watts and Mark White. They've done some mobile stuff and some other stuff that's been on like kind of the Switch, but really impressive. Two people making this game is awesome. So,
Yeah.
out of Australia, so very very cool. I guess
Yeah.
it's Wombat Brawler. That makes sense.
Yeah.
But
And
yeah,
that is a turkey for you as well. Of 3 certified fresh juices in a row,
I know.
Tommy.
9 Kings as we descend, cast and chill. We're on a heater. We're on a heater.
It's been a good year so far. We'll say there's been like I feel like more certified fresh juices than last year already.
Easily. I mean,
Yeah,
last year. Yeah, no. I
yeah,
mean that's
definitely.
and you know what? I gotta give credit to you because you were like, this is a great moment for indies. Like it's going to be, you know, with everything that kind of happened in the world of gaming in the past couple of years, you kind of called it because it seems to be like, you know, obviously all these things are in the works for a couple of years, but you know, things happen that way, you know, especially with COVID and what happened there
Yeah,
and kind of, you know, games like Balatro and Animal Well getting like this like wide recognition in the gaming world. So
yeah.
it's looking good.
It is. I actually just saw an article from Polygon about how indie games are essentially carrying the summer and set to carry the rest of the summer currently. So it's really awesome to just see the not only the output from these developers, but like the appreciation from people as well. And you know, I think like generations after us are like really into indie games,
Mm-hmm.
you know, they don't want to pay $80 for a new Call of Duty game, you know, typically. And you know, I also think Balatro being on the Game of the Year nominees and that causing a stir has like probably helped with propel a lot of this indie game love and discussion this year. So yeah, I mean, we'll see. I feel like there's still a lot of room for growth with indies and probably a lot more to come. But yeah, I predicted it. That's right, I
Yeah,
did.
just
So
own it, man.
if only I could have freaking bought some shares or something of indie game.
Oh
uh,
man.
yeah, but another banger. Cast and chill.
Cast and chill. Yeah, check it out, folks. Next week we're gonna do a game called Tower Wizard. I think another like kind of idle incremental game as well. Kind of you know, as we're going into the holiday, here in the States, you know, easier for us to kind of, you know, play. But we got some big ones coming in the later summer, I think.
Hmm.
But Tower Wizard does look really cool, so we should definitely freaking another banger episode next week. Woo!
Yeah, getting a lot of love right now. So curious to see what we think.
Oh yeah. How we think. How yes or no. But we do have listener questions. These come from the Discord, which is free to join. First one comes from rcarp11, who asks, well, who's your favorite Mario Kart World character? Now this is my this is my wife, and she, you know, I got to give her some props. She's been getting all the new costumes for me in free roam. Free roam's pretty sick
Yeah,
in Mario
yeah,
Kart World. So
yeah. I do wish that there was like some sort of I don't know, like boss battle or something, like just random things that would drop down, like Bowser drops down or something like that,
that'd
and
be
you
neat.
got like a minute to do something to defeat him. But yeah, I'm enjoying the free roam as well. But
Yeah.
what's your favorite character then, Tom? Is this core character or is this character with a costume?
I think like a character you can play as. I would.
Okay, all right.
I'm gonna say that. I was gonna open it up to all Mario Karts, but like, well, then you have like Link and Animal Crossing Villager in the last game and stuff like
Hmm.
that. But I think Mario Kart World has a pretty definitive list of like just Mario like world characters.
Yeah.
I think I've been playing a lot as Peepa, the the little kind of baby ghost. That one's
Yeah.
kind of cool. Um, I've always been a shy guy. You know, just and like dry bones sometimes. I kind of like those like off center characters a little bit. You know,
Hmm.
I'll even mess around with like Goomba. I want to get the bat swoop that you can play
Yeah.
as. That one looks cool. But like if I was looking at like classic Mario characters, I usually would go for like Waluigi, right? Like I think my if you want to know my double dash go to was on GameCube, it was Luigi and Waluigi. I was like, enemies to lovers, right? And
Yeah,
just kind of like you got to make it work, and
yeah.
I would crank with them. So,
Really?
who's your favorite?
um, yeah, my favorite Mario Kart World character. I've been playing a lot of Coin Coffer. I just think he's a cool looking dude, and he just looks kind of funny, like situated in some of the carts I play. Um, so I've been enjoying him. I also played a little bit of the Parabirdie Bud or Parabitty Bud, whatever that look like a little floating. I don't even know
It's
what
like
it
a
is.
ladybug, right?
Yeah, it's like a flying ladybug thing. Um, I am like Mario Kart 8, like I played like Lakitu was like
Mm,
my guy. I played him all the time. So I played a little bit of him in Mario Kart World, but yeah, I don't know. I've just been playing the coin coffer. I feel like I haven't really settled yet. I need
yeah.
to unlock everything and then I'll be like, all right, this is the one. I've also played some of the if we're doing like the classic sort of lineup, but like with a costume, I played like the Mario with like the backwards hat, and he's got like the Hawaiian shirt on, whatever. He's like vacationing or whatever. I just kind of used him because I'm like, oh, finally Mario's like a little chill here. um
Cast
and
and chill.
yeah,
Cart and
cast
chill.
and chill, cart and chill, that's the next game right there. Yeah, so probably that. If we're doing double dash, I always was the baby Mario, baby Luigi combo.
Ah,
I
okay,
think
yeah.
that's usually what I did. Or I would like I usually would take baby Luigi and like pair it with somebody else.
Mm.
Just because I loved baby Ouija time. Um when when he would say that, I was like, baby Ouija time, baby. Um but yeah, so yeah, right now Coin Coffer is probably my favorite character that I'm playing as, but that will probably change as I unlock more. I still need Swoop as well. I think I just got Peepa. And then yeah, I gotta unlock a few more
I
of the
just
other
got
ones.
Spike, who is like my like one of my favorite Mario Tennis Aces character.
Okay, yeah.
Like if I wanted to play defensively, I mean, which listen, it's not my rec room, but I think Mario Tennis Aces is the best sports game that Mario ever put out, and I'll fight anybody who says otherwise because I think that game is so sick
It
because
is.
it's a fighting game that is like you don't understand. It's like a Street Fighter style fighting game that is tennis.
Yeah.
You just have to like realize that is what it is, not just regular tennis, and that's why it's so good. But
Yeah. Yeah. It is. It's really good. I mean, like, I feel like those tennis kind of games are always just like even back to like the Wii
yeah,
tennis, it's just like they're just so much fun. So this is yeah, I have a great time with Aces.
oh, that we'll see if they do it on Switch too. I imagine they'll do another at
Yeah.
some point. But hey, what's the next question? It comes from Bags, the man of the hour. As a former curling champion, as we know, I wish there were more curling games. Are there any specific game genres you wish got more love?
Ooh, any game genres? Honestly, dungeon crawlers, maybe like classic dungeon crawlers. I know we get like some like roguelike dungeon crawler kind of
Mm-hmm.
vibey games, or like we've got like single player ones like Ain't No Rest for the Wicked is kind of like a dungeon crawler sort of game. I don't know, just like I would love more like sworn kind of games. I know that's a roguelite, but like party up with friends, just do some dungeon crawling, hit up some rooms together. Honestly, I'm just thinking a gauntlet at this
Yeah.
point.
Like
I
arcade
know,
style dungeon crawler.
yeah, arcade style. I know we got like Diablo and like Path of Exile, stuff like that are like these big games, but there you got to invest so much time into them. I'd love, yeah, just more of like an arcade style dungeon crawler. And there's some other ones that I've played, but they either don't have enough depth for me to like really enjoy it, or they're just not that well made that I've tried out before. I can't remember one of the names. I could picture the dungeon crawler I played. It was like very cartoony looking, but yeah, I don't know. That comes to mind. I don't think there's enough deck builders out there. I think no, I'm just kidding. What about you, Tom? Anything come to mind?
Stole my joke. This is kind of hard because, like, I guess there's probably some sports games that should get more love for sure. Um, but I think we do get a decent amount, especially I saw there's a lot of soccer game. Like, technically, what's the car one?
Rocket League.
Rocket League is technically kind of a soccer game, but there's that other soccer game that's really popping off right now.
Yeah, rematch.
Rematch. But
Yeah.
honestly, I like turn-based, like grid style, like Fire Emblem, like tactical RPGs, and I think we get a lot of them. But I want, maybe I just want a new Fire Emblem that doesn't care about relationship stuff, because I feel like they really went down that road with the Fire Emblem series where it started. Like, it makes sense that you want the characters to interact with each other, but like it started like being not a dating sim. It wasn't, but there was some elements of that, which I don't want to feel like I have to be doing that to like make my like battles go better, right? I don't know. That's just me. It's just not really what I like out of the games. Like, I'm replaying the original like Game Boy Advance Fire Emblem that came to the States on the Switch 2 like online, right? And that one's like perfect because lost story, characters care about each other, whatever, but like there's maybe some benefit of like if they talk to each other, but it's not like you have to do it. You just like go and you do your thing, and you just have to be the better tactician like in the battle. So
Yeah.
that's what I would like. I don't know if that answers the question, but kind of.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think that's a a good point. Honestly, like that, those sort of things like turn me off of games in general. Like if I think I was watching a game trailer for some game recently, and I was like, "Wow, this looks really awesome." And then they started introducing some like relationship building, like dating sim kind of stuff, and I was like, "Nah, I don't want to." If my progress is going to be tied to doing stuff like that, I don't
Yeah.
want to have to deal with it. Um,
But different strokes for
yeah,
different folks, right?
yeah,
Some people love
literally,
that,
yeah, yeah.
So it is what it is. But thanks for the question, Bags. Capolo asked, who is the best indie game princess? Similar to Disney princesses, but for indie games.
Probably Tommy Fresh.
Thank you.
Yeah, I don't know.
This is a
Indie
hard
game,
question.
maybe like, I mean, there's Bandage Girl from Super Meat Boy, who is a pretty popular one. If we're going, it has to be kind of a female nature, I guess. Uh,
Yes, yeah.
I'm trying to think of some other ones.
I mean, I don't know if we get a lot of like just princesses. I mean, like there's probably games that feature them. I mean, there's probably more princesses in like all of gaming, but even really, I can't think of that much outside of like the Mario universe, right? But in indie games, like if we're thinking more like best our favorite like female protagonist,
mhm.
I think maybe like Celeste is a great answer there. Really just is probably the best one I can think of in the indie game sphere. But I love Celeste.
Yeah, I know that's a popular one. Honestly, I'm looking at a list right now of popular like female protagonists in indie games. But I don't know. I mean, there's like What Remains of Edith Finch. I never played that one. I know that's a great one. Um, Kina, Bridge of Spirits. I've heard of that game before. Apparently, that's got a good one as well. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if Bandage Girl is the first thing that came up in my mind because Meat Boy has to save her in very similar way Mario needs to save Princess Peach. So I'm gonna just go with Bandage Girl.
All right.
So
Bandage
yeah,
Girl it is. Thank you for the question, Capolo. And finally, from Kmore, what do you consider the perfect gaming snack?
probably like ribs. No, um, honestly, I always not always, but like I like pretzels, so, like, I get, like, the waffle kinda like Snyder's of Hanover, like, the waffle-shaped pretzels, kind of, the little squares. Usually those. I also like frozen grapes are good. Just something I need something that's not gonna get my hands, like, dirty, like, I can't do, like, Cheetos or, like, even, like, potato chips and stuff, they get all salty.
Hmm.
I feel like it doesn't really happen with pretzels for some reason, and then, obviously, like, grapes are fine. Yeah, I don't know. Something that just doesn't screw up your hands for me is probably my go-to, but pretzels are probably the most common thing I have when I'm like getting ready for a long stream or a gaming session. I'll just have a little bowl of pretzels next to me for when I feel like snacking. But what about you, Tom?
When I'm snacking, or I'm always packing when I'm snacking, I guess I should say, I
Mm,
got peanut butter pretzel tub right here.
there you go.
Love these. Can't eat too many of them. You get like super full. But I also got pretzel sticks, pretzel sticks. Very
Nice.
nice. Usually something I can get like a lot of at like Costco. Like we got these like super XL peanuts honey roasted. These were really good.
Oh, I love that.
They
Yeah,
were so good, honestly. So
yeah,
like yeah, something pretzely or nutty, I would say, anywhere anywhere near me during a gaming sesh, I think
yeah.
is what I'm going for. Although,
And
I'll go down and grab a cheese stick sometimes. Those are nice,
mm,
just, freaking chow on some cheese. But yeah.
yeah. And now with your pretzel sticks, I got a question. Do you ever bite off one end, bite off the other end, and kind of just like breathe through it like you're
Smoke it?
smoking something?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
I
All right.
mean,
Cool.
what do you
All
think
right.
I am, an
Good.
animal? Of course I do.
Yeah, because that adds time, to the snacking. You're just kind of,
Yeah.
just playing with the food a little bit. And good. I'm
You
glad I'm
just
not
don't
the
make
only
sure you
one.
don't inhale, right?
Yeah, yeah. Don't want to inhale. That's for sure, especially for me. Uh yeah. Good, good. Yeah. So pretzels.
Pretzels.
That's the
We're
key.
pretzel boys over here.
Yeah.
Great questions. Thank you all for answer or not answering. We answered them for asking them. But it's time to say goodbye, but not before we take a little trip down to the rec room, where we recommend something that perhaps isn't an indie game. And what I have to recommend this week is an indie game. It's a demo, though. It's a demo for a game I saw clips of a while ago while it was still in development. Now, I learned now that this game is made by the same company that made Board Blasters. It was 8-Bit Skull. And the demo for this game is Skull Horde. And it was on my, or regular Skull Horde is on my wish list. Got the notification that the demo is available. Let me go check it out. Man, oh man, this game is going to be so sick. I mean, if they could stick the landing on this, it is so much fun. It is a interesting take on a dungeon crawler, vampire survivor like game where you're also like creating like this auto battling army with you rather than just like in Vampire Survivors, rather than getting like
Yeah.
stuff flying around you, you are like upgrading your like units and stuff like that. And there's like shops and like all this cool stuff. And the cool thing about it, I don't know if it'll be a feature in the actual game, but like you can take your time trying to beat it however you want. But like as the time goes by, the dungeon gets harder. It doesn't matter what level you're at, it matters how
Mm.
long you've been playing. So as like at the end, it was like level like it didn't even have a word. It was just like gibberish. Like that's
Oh
how
my
hard
god.
it was
So it's
supposed to.
endless.
Yeah, yeah. It's and well, there
Yeah.
is in the demo. There's a boss. I don't know how it will be in the final game, but like the demo is not endless.
Hmm.
But you do a run and you can do that. But it seems to like have planned. I was taking a look at the store page, but they plan on having multiple characters, and there's like different synergies with how like you build your team because you have like 6 slots for a team, right? And you'll have like one slot you have like they're all skeletons. You have your archer, and each time you buy a new archer, it adds to it. And then if you buy 3 archers, they'll combine to make a one strong archer. and then you can do that.
Gotcha.
And like, but you only have 6 slots for 6 different kinds of units. So like sometimes your shop will have like a new unit that like looks really cool, but it's like I don't have room. Maybe I just get rid of one of these other ones and start from scratch with that one because it looks better, has a higher rarity or whatever. It is so sick. Auto battling, cool progression. It looks like they're gonna have, and it's all procedurally generated. It's a lot of fun. The demo's free, so I would say if any of that sounds cool, you should play it because I think it's like Board Blasters was obviously great, right? But this one I think has potential to be better. So
yeah, cool. Yeah, it looks awesome. It's on the wish list. I got the demo downloaded. I'm gonna check it out and we'll review it on the show at some point, folks. So if you miss out on the demo, don't worry. There's a review coming.
Yeah.
From my side of things, I'm recommending an album actually. So there's a band I love. This is not the recommendation, but there's a band I love called Streetlight Manifesto, and they just recently delayed their album. Unfortunately, it's supposed to be coming out this week, and people on their Reddit were like, "Oh, what else are you guys listening to?" And someone recommended this band that I had never heard of, King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, which is just a great name. But specifically this album, I haven't listened outside of this album. This album, Flight B741, came out in 2024. They're an Australian rock band that's been around since 2010. So they've been around for 15 years and I haven't heard of them, but there's some great tracks on here. I just wrote a few down. Antarctica, Mirage City, Raw Feel, great tracks. It's really just like, I don't know. There's a lot going on in their songs. It gives me like, for those who are aware of Streetlight Manifesto, like they always kind of have a lot sort of going on in their songs, like instrument wise. This is similar to that, but this is more on the rock side than like the ska side. And it's just, I don't know. I feel like it's great, like driving music or like, it's a nice day out. You got the windows down, you're cruising, and just been really enjoying it. I'm still exploring like the whole album. There's definitely been some songs I've listened to like over and over again, like the few I mentioned. But yeah, check out Flight B741 by King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. Going into listening to them, when I saw someone recommend it on Reddit, I was like, what? I got to see what this band is, because I'm picturing something that is not put together, just something out of left field. And, they're pretty good. I've been enjoying them. So I don't know if their other albums are good, anything like that, but this one I kept seeing brought up as like a great album from them. So, yeah, check them out. Check them out.
Check them out. I've heard of them. I've seen like them play a few songs live at like festivals. They're fun. They're a cool band, and they got a loyal following. So I'm assuming everything that they do is pretty good. Just like this podcast, everything we do is good, including telling people where they can find us. I am Fresh Buds Pod, mostly on Blue Sky these days. I have another podcast called Fresh and Buds, talk about an indie card game called Flesh and Blood, trading card game. I do that every week. And you can find us on all socials at Fresh Juice Pod. Matthew, where can people find you?
Find me at Matty Gorm, Gorm, on all the socials. I've been posting some Dune content over on YouTube. Probably will do some streams in the near future. So if you're interested in the new Dune game, I'm covering it over there. But there we go. Another ep in the books.
Another ep in the books. As they always say in the Dune books, how you doing?